Okay guys, in this video you guys will see how to change your lower control arms on your Volvo XC70. It's not too terrible of a job. I'd recommend taking the strut off, and I just literally watched another video yesterday, but if you take your strut off with the knuckle, so completely remove the axle out of the knuckle, it makes that job very easy, and obviously remove the outer tie rod. But that is another way you can do it, to remove your knuckle and strut, so keep that in mind. But yeah, so let's go ahead and call around. Remember, this car, when it came to me, had the incorrect lower control arms on either side. The passenger side was on the driver's side, and the driver's side lower control arm was on the passenger side. I think that's what also gave me a ton of issues. That did not make the job very easy. It was a pain, but hopefully this video helps you guys on removing and installing your lower control arms. And let's go ahead and call a Brake Max maybe and see what they charge to get this done. But as mentioned, I recommend taking off the strut for sure, and it looks like it's easier to remove the strut and knuckle together. So thanks guys, and let's go ahead and call, see what we could get. Hello?
Hello, this is Jamie with Brake Max. Trying to get hold of Ray?
Yes.
Hey, Ray, I got your pricing on the Volvo for you.
Okay.
Alright, so the lower control arms with labor and alignment, taxes total out the door, you'd be looking about $11.50.
$11.50 for the lower control arms.
Correct. That's the control arms, the labor, and alignment.
Okay. And what's the labor on those?
It's calling for almost 3 hours just to do the arms.
Okay, that's what I figured. Okay, alright. I will decide on what I want to do.
Alright, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Okay guys, $1,150 to get the lower control arms replaced. He said, called for 4 hours, I think he said. That does include the alignment, so the alignment's probably 60 to 100 bucks. So you guys can try to break down the math, but you'll save a ton of money doing it yourself. You figure the labor, I don't know, 100 bucks an hour at least. So you guys can go ahead and break it down. 400 bucks. I would say 400 to 600 bucks in labor is what you're going to end up paying. Roughly, give or take. That is not the exact number, but I hope this video does help you guys do it yourself. I recommend, as I've probably mentioned before, taking the strut off when you do your lower control arm replacement. But like, subscribe, share. You guys enjoy the video, buy the tools, do it yourself, save yourself some money into your pocket. It's cheaper to buy the tools, guys. So thank you guys, enjoy the video. Hopefully this helps somebody out there. Alright guys, this is going to be the second video on the Volvo XC70, and this video will be how to remove your lower control arm and also install it. If you guys watch all the videos, you guys will get pieces of everything in each video. So I did do the driver's side. I had a very hard time doing the driver's side, but it goes all the old parts. This is the side that's done. Really can't see too much, but this side was done. I had to scratch that video on the driver's side because it was a disaster. But on the passenger side, remember the previous video will be how to remove and install your strut. Right now that video is at a pause, so I could do this one, which is remove the lower control arm. So quick tip on the control arm. I had a hard time on the driver's side, very hard time. I installed the strut, and then when I went to put in the new lower control arm, I could not install it. I couldn't line it all up. So the tip will be, if you're going to replace the lower control arm, my recommendation is to replace or to remove the strut, then remove the lower control arm, which is how I'm doing this series. So I removed the strut, going to remove and replace the lower control arm, then going to reinstall the strut. Also, in the previous video, you guys put a lot of tension on your lines, so be careful with that. This one is cracking, so replace your brake lines. I would just replace them because you're going to put a lot of stress on them. Maybe if you remove it off this bracket, maybe that'll give you the play. But I don't know. I didn't do it. So I want to get these replaced. Be cautious of your ABS line. Also, sensors in there. But yeah, guys, that'll be about it. That's cool. And let's go ahead and get to removing the lower control arms, which it's kind of hard with the space that I'm working with here. So let's see. You will have, I think there's 17 millimeters on the backside of here. 17 millimeter bolts. That's what those ones are. You also have this here, which will be 2 bolts on, no, you want to call it the hub assembly. So there's a bolt there, another bolt on the other side, and there is also this guy here. The way I'm going to redo it is, and also this one. This is a 21 millimeter nut right here, and it is a bolt that goes all the way through. So trying to remember how I did it on that side. I think I'm going to start with removing this guy off, and then it doesn't really seat, this ball joint does not really seat into the lower control arm, so you should be able to unbolt this and lift the hub assembly off, if I remember right. Over here, so I'm going to start with that bottom bolt, probably that one, and then this guy over here, these two. So that's the way I'm gonna do it. But if you guys have easier ways, mention it in the comments below. This is the first Volvo I've worked on, and for whatever reason, this is how I'm getting it done, because the driver's side was a disaster. I'm not gonna make that mistake twice, and that's why I'm creating this video for you guys. So remember, if you guys want to see the strut video, it's going to be the video previous to this one. So hope you guys enjoyed the videos, and I hope all this helps you guys do this job. Okay, so it is spinning. So a 22 millimeter will hold this nut. Yeah, it'll hold it. And now it's spinning, and it is a Torx bit T40 right in the center, right there. So time to get this guy off. There it is, it's off. And look. Okay. This one's kinda... I know a quick hammer to that will knock that loose. Watch. Maybe not at this moment, but that was loose the last time on the other side. I'll have to bump that out later. I did not expect it to be in there that tight, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and work on these other ones. This one's a pain to get. 18mm socket. I've already broke it loose. Ugh. And then remember, it's a 21mm. This is a 22, that's all I have. I think, I didn't look, but it holds it. Duncan, is there enough room for him to even get out? I probably scooted forward still. Alright, here it is. It's a pretty tight 18mm. I'm pretty sure a 19-12 point will be just fine. So keep that in mind. You can probably try that. And there it is. That one's off. All that's left are the two 17mm, and then bump it off of this little ball joint here, which I'm surprised is still in there. Okay guys, today is August 2nd. It's a Friday. I gotta get this car out of here so I could sell some car parts that are buried in the garage. But let's finish up the lower control arm. So removing the lower control arm, the last two bolts, pretty sure I covered the other ones. It's gonna be two 17mm bolts right back here. Let's go ahead and move these lines out of the way. That one's a hard line, so that one's there. There's one right here, one right here. Remember, 17mm, it is a very tight space to work with. That one's broken loose. Let's go ahead and get this other one. And if it's like the driver's side, these bolts, you can't get them out unless you more likely drop the subframe. So I just want to back them out enough, get my tool out of the way, use a 17mm ratcheting wrench, try to finish it. And I did already knock it loose off that lower ball joint. This one. Alright, real quick to get that last bolt right here, use the open end of the 17mm just because there's that hard line right above it. And it's kind of hard to get anything around it. And I don't feel like completely unbolting wherever that line comes from because it might be an AC line. Sorry guys for the crazy angles. I'm working in a very tight space. Those are loose now. Everything's off. This is loose. keep in mind if you're installing, I'm trying to think, because it does come with, the lower control arms do come with a new axle bolt. I just can't remember if I need that bolt now. I think I do. I got to remove the axle bolt now, which is 12 or 13 millimeter. 13. That's a 14. I don't think that's the right size. Let me go find the right size. I don't think it's a 14. Alright, so it is a 14. Ugh. Make sure you have something hold the rotor, or have somebody press the brakes if you have somebody helping you. Okay, so you guys did see how hard that was to hold the hub assembly and remove the lower control arm at the same time. If you have a jack in the space, put this on a jack. Also, the one thing I did do different on this side, on the driver's side, with this inside the lower control arm, I undid the ball joint bolts, and then I used a hammer to get in between, or a screw, a flathead to get in between and knock this guy out. I might have a harder time doing it with it not sitting inside the lower control arm. So now I'm gonna go ahead and try to remove this guy. Alright, this is how I was able to position it. I got the top one loose. Remember, this brake line is very tight. If you remove it off the bracket, that'll give you some playroom. For me, I'm replacing this line anyways. It's old, it's corroding, it's cracking. So I'm gonna get rid of this brake line regardless. So, there it is. Now these bolts are loose. Alright, I'm using this like little pick one to wedge in here. Remember, be careful on holding the hub, but I am wiggling it out slowly but surely. If you had a jack under the hub, I'm pretty sure this would be much easier, but I don't have the right space to get a jack in here. Alright guys, there it is. It's not one that you have to press out. the method I use works fine with using a pick and a flathead to slowly wiggle it out. Remember, it might be easier to get this loose with it still kind of holding inside the lower control arm. That'll be up to you guys. Those have done it in the past, comment below. Let us know how you've done it. But now let's go ahead and install the lower control arm, and I am also going to try to install this differently with the reinstalling the lower control arm. So right now I'm going to put this little boot back on that goes on the end of the axle, and I have this just sitting on my hydraulic jack. I'm going to feed the axle back through for now. Just kind of hold it in place. Just kind of slowly thread this guy in. The axle bolt, there is a new one, but I'll put that on later. Right now I just want to hold it all together. Now I'm just going to go get the new lower control arm and start lining that up. Okay, I did say I was going to install the lower control arm first, but I think I'm going to try to do the ball joint first. Obviously remove this big piece that covers the boot, that protects it. Comes with a new nut, and it comes with 2 new bolts. I'm going to Loctite the bottom 2 bolts, but the tricky part is trying to get this to seat evenly and flush all the way down. So that's the tricky part. So you might be playing with this for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, the other side took me a while. So, try to get this on real quick. Okay, as you can see, I'm already having a hard time. So I'm going to use the bolts to kind of hold it steady. I did put a little bit of Loctite on them. The old bolts that came out also had Loctite. Kind of nice and tight. See if I can get this down. Okay guys, it took me a little while to get the lower ball joint pressed in. The way I had to do it is I tighten down the bolts equally, then I tap down on it, tap down, tighten it up a little bit more, tap down, tighten it, until I feel like it's pretty cinched down and now it's good to go. I did use red Loctite, but I'm pretty comfortable where it's at. And yeah, let's go ahead and get the lower control arm back on now. Okay, now remember the old lower control arm, the old passenger control arm was the driver's side. Remember, they were flipped, if you guys remember that. But here goes reinstalling. This far one is going to be your hardest to line up. So start with this one, get the bolt up and into the nut. But this one's going to be the hardest because you got to like wedge it in. Look at that. Wasn't that bad, actually. Much smoother than the other side so far, just because I was doing the other side incorrect. Remember, on the other side, I did think I mentioned I reinstalled the new strut, and then I tried installing the new lower control arm, and that was an absolute disaster. Don't do it that way. Getting these other two 17s on. Alright, I got those bolts started. They're almost poking through. I have this on. Just has to get that tightened up. Now I can slip this lower ball joint. Slip the lower ball joint onto the control arm. But yeah, let's go ahead and flip this guy around. There it is. I still need to hold this, not let tension come off of this too much. But remember, if you have a jack, I think a jack will work much better, a legit jack. Alright, now I gotta find where I put that bottom nut. Let me find that real quick. Alright, there goes this guy. I'm gonna tighten that up. If I can figure out what size that one was again. $18mm. Okay, so the replacement kit does have one failure. One issue that the stock ones don't have is the bottom. You see how I think it was like a T40, I think it is, I could get in there to hold it from spinning. The replacement ones don't have it, so it does spin. I'm pretty sure I could tighten up that bottom nut more because it's just free spinning. So maybe when I put some tension on all the parts, it'll allow me to tighten it up some more. But I'm not a fan of the replacement ball joints just because of this. I'm pretty sure that nut could go on tighter, but regardless, I'm gonna keep going and tighten up the 17mm back here, and then the back nut right there for that bolt. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those up real fast, and then turn it back on the camera. Don't forget though, on this back one, there's that hard line that's right above. So make sure you're gonna have to use the 17mm open end wrench to get that guy tightened up. So don't forget that. this car has definitely been worked on because this is supposed to be an 18mm bolt, I believe, and you have to like jam it on there. So it's a little beat up, needless to say. But that back one's on good. Now it's time to knock out these two 17mm, and I won't be able to get a good angle on those, so I'm going to do those with the camera off real fast. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and now end the video. The new lower control arm is on there. Remember, I'm going to come back and try to give that a little bit more tightness later when everything's back together. Also, the axle bolt will be replaced after installing the new strut. So that is that. It's not a super simple job. I don't think it's a very easy job. Maybe that's why I did not find very many videos of it on YouTube. That can explain it, because people just take it to shops at this point. But I want to go show you guys the old control arms. Alright, so here goes the passenger side. If you look up those numbers, this is supposed to be the driver's side, and it was on the passenger side, okay? This one over here was the driver's side, and this one's actually supposed to be on the passenger side. So maybe that's why I had a hard time. Look at the bushings, they're all blown out. Toast. This one's just as bad. Just trash at this point. So that's how you guys change out your lower control arms. Now I'm going to go back and finish up the video of the strut, which you guys will see that video first. So you guys might have to go back and forth a little bit. But let's go ahead and end this video. Lower control arms down on your XC70. It is a bit of a pain to do. But if you guys have easier ways of doing it, post it in the comments below. Let me know so that others watching this video will do things differently than I did, and I'll know for next time if I ever have to work on this car again. But thanks guys, like, subscribe, share. But lower control arms are done. It's time to finish up the strut and then figure out what the next video is I'm going to do on this. Most likely the inner and outer tie rods will be next, so look forward to that video.